to do. But these kids these days, who are their influences? Who are those? I had an outward bound counselor, I had a talent search counselor, and I had my guidance counselor pushing me. Do they have those type of people in their lives? And the question is, if they don't, what are we, the generation that came before them, what are we doing? Are we that positive influence on their life? They are our greatest resource because they will soon be us. And if we are still here, they will be the leaders. They will be the people that are running this country, that are running these organizations and these corporations. What are we putting into them to make them better? What are we doing to make them better? Because they're looking at us just as much as they're looking at each other. What example are we setting for them? What are we putting into them? Are we taking our time out and dealing with them? Or are we just sitting on the sideline and speaking down to them and complaining about them and what it is that they're doing and how they act and how they dress? In high school, if they came to us and said, guess what, guys, next year you're wearing school uniforms, I would have hated it. I would have absolutely hated it. And I would have given them the same speech that the kids give now. But that's how I dress. How am I supposed to be an individual if everybody look alike? But what it does is it cleans the slate. You can't really group people if everybody's looking the same. You can't really discriminate outside of race if everybody looks the same. You can't tell a jock from a nerd if everybody is dressing the same. You can't tell, well, they don't have them now, but when I was in school, they were called goths. You couldn't tell a goth from wannabe thug if everybody's dressing the same. And that's just the truth. It's just the truth. So I'm for school uniforms. You couldn't tell a rich person from a poor person in uniforms. Try to, as much as I can, put time in with children. And when I mean children. When I say children, I don't mean teenagers. I'm talking about 4 to 10, 11. They're children. When you hit 12, you start really, it's what my parents said and my grandparents said. You start to smell yourself. You start to smell yourself. But I try to put time in with them because they're almost a blank slate. They're more teachable. They're more coachable. 12 and up, they're not that clean slate anymore because by that time they truly have an understanding of their situations and their circumstances at home and what's going on in society. And then they're less prone to allow you to come into their bubble. If you ever been around this generation of kids, you can see them so standoffish, and a lot of them don't know how to accept true love, genuine love. And I'm not talking about anything sexual, but just someone caring about them. They don't know how to handle it. They'll reject it. They'll throw a fit. before they accept your genuine caring for them. They don't know how to handle it. They don't know how to express it themselves when they feel it for you. And that is sad. That is sad. When you have a generation of people who don't know how to care for others. Just selfish. That scares you. It has to scare you. If that doesn't scare you, then you're falling asleep behind the wheel. You're falling asleep behind the wheel if you can't see that these kids, they have been desensitized from the things that they see and the things that they've had to endure. When kids can watch a video and not a movie where they know that the stuff is, they know it's fake. But when kids can watch videos of people fighting and getting their heads knocked loose, brains wide open, put to sleep, and they can watch it and they can laugh and they don't, I watch it and I cringe when I see like, oh my. And they're looking at it and they're laughing and they're joking. They can watch somebody get shot. They run to these types of things. They hear gunfire and they think it's funny. It's a joke. That's scary. It's very, very, I want to try to use the best word. It's alarming. It's alarming. Because again, these are our future mayors and senators, our future CEOs, our future presidents, our future school and superintendents, our future doctors, our future lawyers, our future teachers. That's who they are. That's exactly who they are. So how do we prepare them? How do we reach them? A lot of people say, don't go down to their level. But you can't ask them to always have to come up to our level. Because sometimes we ask them to mature and having the conversation that they truly are not prepared to have. I was watching the Tupac biopic, and there was something interesting that he said. He said sometimes you got to go into somebody else's world in order to bring them out. And I thought to myself, it's a very interesting concept. One that I don't believe I've ever thought about. Now, some of you probably were like, I've thought about that before. I've said that before. Cool. Cool. But I myself, I've never thought about it that way. And I think that's where we are with the youth, with our future tomorrow. We need to get a better understanding of their world. And when I say their world, I'm not talking about going and listening to their music and going and learning their lingo and different things like that. I'm talking about understanding their life, what it is that they like, what it is that they love, what it is that they hate, what it is that they fear. It'd be very interesting. I talk to kids, and I think that they have higher expectations of themselves than we give them credit for. You know, and one of the things, I was at a conference a couple of years ago. Maybe it was last year. It doesn't really matter. Yeah, it was last year. And one of the questions that was asked is, what do you want to be when you grow up? I see young men in there, probably, I'd say anywhere from 12 to 15 of them, all black young men, and not one of them said they wanted to be a professional athlete. Not one. And I don't even think any of them said they wanted to be anything in the athletic field. There were some that wanted to be musicians and different things like that, but they wanted to be musicians. They didn't want to be a rapper. Not a rapper, they wanted to be musicians. And I just thought, like, how different that is from when I was growing up and at that age. These were young men varying.
Teachers, excuse me for this interruption.
So, at the end of the day, it's just about investing our time into our youth. Because they are our greatest resource. Because they are the ones that we're counting on to have a bright future. Because eventually we're going to go off into the sunset. I know I plan to be retired by 50. That's less than 20 years from now. So these kids that are 12, 13, 14, 15 years old, they're going to be entering their 30s 20 years from now. And when you're in your 30s, you're starting to build your legacy. But who are they going to credit for the legacy that they built, whether it's a good one or a bad one? They're going to credit us. They're going to give us the credit or the blame. Such and so invested time in me, and I became better. No one invested time into me. And this is why I am where I am. So, our youth, they need us. They're crying out for us. Are we going to step up? Are we going to step up? It's time to step up. That's my time. Again, thank you for joining in. Another perspective. Your boy, Travis Good.